What a
so
performance.
bad for them
What a
after a while.
Seneko, hats off to him. He did very well in terms of transitioning into that carry role. But at the end of the day, the plays from Fnatic, they brought their...
I mean, that's the play. He has a TP already purchased and put into his inventory, so denying himself to Roshan.
No rares given for the death to Roshan. Like,
no.
Rares?
Do they not give?
I don't think you get rares for a denial to a neutral.
Oh, but Roshan, Toby.
It's Roshan's not a neutral, right? Like,
I guess
he's neutrally.
I guess if Roshan gets like a double kill or something, at least then you should get some.
QO having some more fun. He's got Searing Chain.
17 minutes in, Fnatic take the victory. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed that as much as myself and Andy did. And we're going to head now back over to the analysts to hear what they've got to say about that epic game.
Epic indeed. I mean, that game between Navi and Fnatic, it looked like Navi possibly were going to have a chance to come back, make the push all the way back, take the game a little bit longer, but at the very end, after some crazy fights, Fnatic does push through and tie the series 1-1. What was your take on, I guess, like the later half of the game that we got to see, Sind?
I know, I was just... How can Seneko do everything?
Yeah.
Like, it's actually incredible how... So I didn't see the start of the game, so I'm not sure how exactly they decided and when they decided to transition him into a Naga. I think we started watching a game at like minute 40 because our game ended.
Yeah.
And I was just like, wait a second, Seneko is first on net worth for Navi. What is going on? And the other cores actually had farmed too, because their Razor and Puck and their Tusk were all above, all in the 5 digits of net worth. So it was pretty crazy to watch. I think overall, these kind of games in the super late game, whenever you're playing with a Naga, the fights were actually just a mess, right? It was everyone drops massive AoE abilities. Like you have Bloodright, Freezing Field on the other side. Maybe you don't have many. Like you have Dream Coil, Plasma Field, and all these like illusions running rampant. So I think for the teams, it's actually very difficult to play the fights because navigating in such an absolute mess is very hard. And in a way, sometimes it kind of comes down to a little bit of luck. Sometimes with who just finds the right target at the right moment, but. It was definitely very intense.
That's what the pause button's for.
Right. Right. Ben, what about you, the overall take on that game and Navi's performance, or maybe even Fnatic performing after they got a complete beatdown against Navi in Game 1, just by results?
Yeah, I mean, it was crazy, that fight where like, oh, Bloodseeker, is he going to live? Is he going to live? And he ends up like healing to full after that whole engage. But I think this has huge implications for the top 4, because in Group A, we have Complexity, LGD, and Secret. And so we're looking for that 4th team. And with these two tied, like, I have no idea who's going to be 4th.
It's actually interesting because the other teams are happy that this happens.
Yeah. Right.
Because then they have...
True.
Every time there's a draw between two other teams, you're happy, unless it's like your direct opponent for a 4th position that just needs that extra point. But right now, I think Navi and Fnatic were pretty much even. I think Fnatic had 3 points, Navi had 2.
Yeah.
So Navi could have jumped to 5, or Fnatic could have jumped to 6. Instead, they jumped 1 point further each, which furthers, for example, Complexity's chances a lot of staying in that top 4.
And IG, I'm sure, is pretty happy.
And IG,
yeah,
too.
IG. This gives IG a much better chance. Of course, Cloud9 now sitting much safer up top, of course, after their win earlier today. Now, Winter, what do you think? I mean, them being tied 1-1, we were talking about these possibilities of the group. How does that even things out? At the same time, we also discussed Navi when they win. Dendi just goes absolutely crazy. He goes ham. He has all these crazy KDA ratios that we were looking at earlier. But when they lose, I mean, not exactly the same performance. Do you think Navi is also really hot and cold right now at TI5?
I mean, this game he's playing a Puck. You can't really say the same.
Yeah.
A Puck and Shadow Fiend or even a Queen of Pain is much different. You don't get the kills, you help your team get the kills. So he played a different role this time round, and I feel they could have actually, they have their chances to win this game as well, because it's a late game. We always thought you don't want to go late game against a Naga, because Naga generally doesn't lose that much in a late game situation. They definitely had their chances, but like what Sin said, it's a very chaotic fight. Like a lot of stuff, you don't know what's going on. You just drop your spells and hope for the best. Whoever has the better usage of their ultimates, or better, like they hit better targets or hit more targets, will win the fight. So it's really hard to say who's going to do very well in the fights, like in the game like this.
Right.
It's like the funny thing about it is if you take a fight like the one at the top racks toward the end where they clash, if they play out that fight 10 times in a row, Na'Vi might win 7 of them.
Yeah.
But they just hit one of the unfortunate ones where,
Okay.
like Ben said, Bloodseeker is down to like 5% health. Maybe he gets like 2 or 3 butterfly procs in a row so he doesn't take damage from whatever hero was attacking. I think it was Naga. And, that kind of stuff. When you get so super late into the game, percentages can play a really big role. And of course, yeah, it's crazy stuff. And it's unfortunate for Na'Vi because that was really, really important. Like,
Yeah.
this is...
Yeah,
This
if he
could
had died there, it was a buyback, a death from buyback as well. So the game would have probably ended at that moment if he didn't get the last live stream from the Blood Rage. So things like that is just game changing,
Yeah, but again, like you guys mentioned, it was because the game had gone so far and it was pretty back and forth up to that point. Na'Vi put up a good fight, but they had a dominating performance in Game 1, so nothing to feel too bad about. Of course, now they are going into a match against LGD. We were just discussing, all right, starting like Day 3, this is where the theme comes in, where every match really determines fates of all the teams, right? LGD and Secret tied in their match at this point. If LGD loses to Na'Vi 2-0, Secret's going to be pretty happy about that because that gives them a much better chance of moving ahead. Whereas LGD, if they 2-0, Secret also has to match that every time to fight for that first seed. And while we wait for that match to set up, as we are taking a look into a lot of players' backgrounds, of course, quite a few players now returning for several years in a row for TI. We mentioned earlier in the week that we have many, of course, prior champions coming back, whether it's as a team or as individual players. One player we're going to take a look at on Na'Vi is going to be Havos.
Маленький Саша был очень хорошим мальчиком, замечательным. Природные способности, это еще в детстве выявилось. Вот у него математический склад ума, это точно от природы, у меня этого нету.
I have never met such a person like Sasha before. You can feel this energy from him, the energy of his ambitions and the power of his personality.
Funny memories and funny stories about Sasha is like millions of them. He will go YOLO and make the team even more crazy, and that's really important to have in a team.
Day 1 was unbelievable. We were highly prepared, we were motivated, and we were like a team. 4 great players were around me, and all of us were the part of one mechanism.
When we won TI1 together, that was insanely beautiful feelings that you can't really experience them through something else.
I sent mom a text message.
Не поверила. Это был не звонок, это была смс-ка. И он мне еще написал: мама, ты если сидишь, то есть типа, если ты не сидишь, ты лучше сядь. Вот такая была фраза первая.
Something like, hey, I won $200,000.
Конечно, я вспоминаю эти чувства. Это, я вот каждой маме, каждому папе пожелала бы, чтобы они вот плоды своего ребенка ощущали, вот как я в тот момент это все чувствовала.
What about at TI4? What happened at TI4?
What about TI4? Sneaky question.
Everything went wrong, and we didn't want to play together.
I think our team at TI4 wasn't like a team at that time already.
I tried to hide it as much as possible, but some days we were fine, but some days it was not good. We all understood that something is wrong. Yeah.
Я и Сашу все время пытаюсь поддержать тем, что это спорт, мы все знаем по другим даже видам, что взлеты, падения, это все стабильность разная.
I think as a team, we are capable of anything. There is no reason to believe in something else. I believe in our team. We can do it. Morale is one of the most important things that you need to have in Dota. I'm really satisfied and happy, and our morale is pretty high right now. And it's connected to Sasha. He'll scream on enemy, say something really funny that other people are gonna start laughing at. He's my bro, so whatever. I know his character. I know how he will act in situation, in the game and outside of the game, making people around him happier.
We feel like we are underdogs, but we feel good about that, and we're gonna fight till the end.
Havos, and of course Navi and one of his teammates, very well known alongside him, Dendi. What a story, right? TI1 champs, and then quite a roller coaster ride, ups and downs, as they were mentioning. TI4, a drastic change for the worse, but now they're back. And to call them the underdogs feels really weird if you were watching back in the day where they were just dominating at TI1. They still had a shot. They've been in 3 finals so far. It's a crazy story, but now they're like, all right, we're underdogs, but we're still here to fight. And if they do make it all the way, what another crazy story, to climb all the way back up. It's just very touching, and I think really shows the history of the TI so far and how much change we have gone through. Also, I mean, you look at them saying what a historical moment, and then you look at like the prize pool and the teams that we've had so far coming in, and all the players that have gone through as champions. Lots of changes since TI1.
I think for me it was especially funny to see like kind of in a way the similarities, but also the contrast between how his girlfriend views him and how his team views him, right? Because his girlfriend was like, I've never met someone like him before. He is a very calculated person. And then you get Dandy, he goes full YOLO. I thought I had to chuckle at that because he's renowned for being like not being a calculated player. He's renowned for when he plays, he's like overly aggressive a lot of the time. Doesn't always weigh the risks against the risk reward ratio for him is often a little bit skewed compared to other players. But he makes for some of the absolute greatest plays and some of the absolute greatest flops when he plays. And I think in this tournament so far he's been pretty stable compared to what we've seen in the past. So from my perspective, that's definitely a good sign for us going forward. And yeah, that was just a funny.
Yeah, I mean, in recent months we've been watching him play, and like, okay, Horus is gonna go for this kill. He's gonna go for this. Oh wait, he's actually backing off.
Yeah.
I mean,
why are you backing off?
And we say like his turnover. And sometimes they.
Yeah, but at the same time, we were noticing that with No-Till's video too. I mean, his family, his girlfriend saying, "Oh, he's very calm, he's very quiet." But a lot of us know that there are clips of him out there where he's just going crazy in game, and sometimes maybe that's what makes that character and that player so great, is that they are actually that calm, but when they're that focused into a game, something else takes over. Those instincts take over in game, and that's why they're at the top. Ben, overall though, Navi, definitely a lot of people, again, we talked about this several times, they weren't even that expected to get through the qualifiers to get to TI5, but they battled through once again. They're here at TI5. Sure, for now, starting as underdogs, but do you think there's still a chance to see them just suddenly turn a switch on and make the drive all the way?
It's a tough match against LGD. I think they'd be very happy to get at least 1 point. And Secret will also be very happy if Navi got 1 point versus them. But it's their general plan for victory. It's like the risk reward thing. They like risk a lot for the early game, but the reward is very little. Like they don't actually increase their chances that much of winning the game. And their strategies, seems like just flip-flops in the middle of a game. Like we just saw the Naga game. Like, okay, Sneako's like, okay, I'm just going to be the one here. And not that he's incapable of doing it. It's just, you have to have a clear mindset before the game, and adaptations are necessary, but that's a far too drastic one, I think, to be thought of like before the game starts. And everyone has to be on the same page, and they have had internal issues in the past. So I just hope that they can convene into one solid game plan.
Do you think, part of that is, again, as you guys were mentioning, Havos' personality maybe permeating through the team, or do you think maybe all 5 players are kind of just okay? They all are like, all right, sometimes I just switch my mind. I'm like, this is what needs to get done, and they just go with that plan, and then
I don't really think they worry about the YOLO thing too much. I think it's more important that they have fun and they have chemistry. I actually played with Havos not too long ago, and he's still like the same old like chatty jokester, similar with Dendi, and Funix seems to get along with them very well too. Suneko in art style, I'm not too sure of personally, but as long as you have like high spirits, high morale, I